Hey everybody, Taz from Critical Thinking Anarchist here, and I just want to tell you we did it. We beat racism thanks to athletes. Thank you to the WNBA for being the leaders of all the change. Somehow the WNBA was completely replaced by men. I'm not entirely sure how that one happened. But the WNBA was one of the first leagues to start protesting and walking out. And so they were the first ones to start this whole process. I know a lot of people will give credit to Colin Kaepernick years ago doing this whole thing, but, the kneeling and all that stuff. But the WNBA full on left the court. Kneeling didn't do anything. Kneeling got people arguing with each other. They left the court. And you know what that did? That got people to stop watching. And not much else. So then the NBA did it. And guess what? That got more people to stop watching. And now Major League Baseball is doing it. And the NFL is doing it. This is amazing, people. Rich athletes are no longer playing. Well, not entirely. So what's actually going on is they are just postponing the games, really. I mean, they're walking out on the game, and then the game is being made up. So they still play the same amount of games. They still get paid. The NFL, I'm not entirely sure how that works because it's a practice. I don't know how that sends a message to anybody, but apparently it does. It sends the message that, hey, we're not going to practice today. We're not showing up in t-shirt and shorts and practice. Good job, NFL. Really, really sticking it to everybody on that one. Not since nobody's watching your practices anyway. We're not practicing today. We're tired of this shit. So, sports has decided that for a day or a couple of days, I guess at some point, they're not playing, and then they'll make it up. But that'll show us that racism is not allowed. Rich athletes who get to get paid still, who get to make up their day of work, are telling us that this is how to end racism, by taking away our entertainment, by taking away the thing that brings people together. I don't understand this at all. I mean, I guess when you're that privileged, that's all you got. The thing about this is it doesn't change anything. It still doesn't change anything. Nobody is putting their money where their mouths are. They're not losing money by not playing these games because they're making them up. They're not taking their millions of dollars that they get every year and helping anybody. Yeah, I mean, a lot of these players have their own charities. A lot of that money doesn't come from them, and the money that does come from them is just enough to cover the tax breaks that they need to cover. Otherwise, it's all donations that get made in their name, and they just reap the benefits of donations. And then I heard Jeff Passan, who is kind of the MLB columnist, journalist, spokesman. He's the person that everybody goes to when trade rumors hit. And he was on ESPN radio earlier today talking about how the MLB needed to come together in unity and show how they wanted to, how important this was. And really all it did was just show that another white guy is just agreeing that black people are victims and that they need to be helped. They need to be treated like victims. You know, I was listening to another radio show on the way home from work, and they were kind of talking about all this as well. And the host was saying how black people in 2020, people of color in 2020, but especially black people in 2020, need to have these conversations with their kids about going out and how to avoid getting shot and how to avoid being incarcerated. If you need to have those conversations, apparently you didn't do your job right raising your children. Who are they hanging out with that they need to be worried about the cops? I mean, what are they doing? What conversation is needing to be had? I mean, this is truly my privilege. My conversations with my parents were don't do stupid shit. Don't get into trouble. I mean, that's literally it. Stay safe, be smart. Those were the conversations with my parents when I left the house. And yes, once in a while I mean, some of the people I would hang out with, not very good people, not very bright people. I tried not to hang around with them too much because I didn't want to get in legal trouble. And if you have to talk with your kids about not getting into legal trouble, apparently they're doing stuff that they're going to possibly get into legal trouble. So again, what are they doing? But back to this. It has actually come to this. It has actually come to privileged people, saying they're victims now. Rich athletes of color are now victims. They are no longer privileged. They are victims. And they're telling you they're victims. They're scared to go out. They're scared to go out with their millions of dollars. They're scared to be in these cities because something might happen to them. Kind of weird that something might happen to them when they're surrounded by all their teammates and private security and off-duty police officers. They still want these off-duty police officers. They're still paying them. They don't want the police. They want to defund the police, but they want they want protection. The hypocrisy there. But we are actually at the point where they think stopping, again, the crazy thing is entertainment is what brings people together. Movies, television shows, sports especially are what brings people together. Yes, there is a lot of rivalry in fandom, and yes, there are fighting of sorts. My team's better than your team, and believe me, I'm one of the biggest proponents of you. It's not your team. You have no stake in the team. It is the team that you chose to follow for some reason. Either your family brought you up that way to cheer for that team. It is strictly geographical. You grew up in that area and therefore you like that team, or you literally chose it as the team that you wanted to follow. There is no yours unless you are employed by them in some way. In which case, if you are, good for you. Fantastic. Great that you got a job with a team that you want to, that you cheer for. In which case, yes, as an employee of that team, that is definitely your team. If you are that athlete, that is definitely your team. For the rest of us, you're just asshole fans like the rest of us. It's not your team. It's the team you chose to cheer for. But again, all that aside, entertainment is what brings us together. Watching sports is what brings us together. Part of the reason that we have had so few problems over the last 40 years and why people of all nations and backgrounds have been able to come together is over entertainment, various forms of entertainment, especially sports. This year, we have had our jobs taken away. We have had our money taken away. We are now dependent upon the government. There are very few independent people left. Businesses are being taken away. Our health is literally being taken away. Our mental stability is being taken away. What did we have left? We had entertainment, and that was slowly trickling away. But then sports came back. Now, granted, the NBA didn't come back in a way that people were happy with, and the NHL didn't come back in a way that people were happy with, but also part of that was the fact that you're now 4 or 5 months past the point where people wanted to be with it. So yes, people weren't particularly happy with the MLB and their social justice statements, but I mean, they're still willing to watch. And with the NBA and NHL, the ratings weren't nearly as good, but you still had people willing to watch. And now you took that away. The one thing people agreed upon, you took it away. What do they have left? They have themselves. And now all we're going to have is infighting. My wife asked me the other day, why are people not against everything that's going on? You've got the people out there protesting the deaths, which is fine, but you've got the rioting, you got the businesses being destroyed. Why aren't people doing anything about this? It's the only thing we have left. We have lives. Those of us who believe in this stuff, we're still the ones out there working. We're still the ones who are considered essential employees. We're still working retail. We're still working postal service. We're still working whatever else. We're still doing the things that we need to do. We're trying to keep our families afloat. We're trying to stay off the government help. The government mandated help, essentially. We're trying to stay off the government's paychecks. We don't want to be dependent on the government. So we had our jobs and we had our sports. Our sports have just been taken away from us. And again, our jobs are slowly going back the other way. And the more looting and the rioting and everything else that goes on, that means now our jobs are being taken away from us. Our businesses are being taken from us again. Our livelihoods are being taken from us again. Once it happens, it will be a civil war. The people who are out there doing this stuff, the people who are causing the problems, are the people who have nothing better to do. They're bored. It's why this has happened like this, because people are bored. Isn't that the stupidest thing in the world? But it's a fact. If these people had jobs, if these people had movies and TV shows and sports, they wouldn't have this. This would not be going on, at least not in the way it's going on. The people who are out there doing these things, who are causing the problems, they're not interested in any of it. For whatever reason. Maybe they're right. Maybe they're right not to be interested in it. But they're not doing anything productive. And now you've got athletes with tons of money not being productive. Entertainment figures. If you really want to do something, lead. Lead by example. Lead with your money. Don't just sit there walking out. Actually do something. Well, we're donating our Jackie Robinson Day salaries to Black Lives Matter and whatever else. Fine. What about the rest of your salaries? What are you doing with that? Oh, you're spending it on your mansions and your cars and your hookers and girlfriends. Why aren't you helping people out with that? It's because of hypocrisy. That's it. It sucks to make 2 depressing videos in a week. And that's just because I'm too damn busy trying to keep my family afloat to do anything else. I would love to make more videos right now. I am working 2 jobs right now trying to keep my family afloat. Anyway, you guys take care. Hopefully this doesn't last. Hopefully we can get back to being entertained, but at this point I'm pretty much done with sports. What's the point? If the players aren't going to play, why should I watch? You guys take care. Bye for now.